Hey Tophees, today's guest is Pearl. She has a good income, has been saving and investing well, but she's depleting her whole entire savings for a down payment on a condo. We'll explore what you should do if you're considering buying real estate and what to watch out for. Because when you buy or sell real estate, other people make a lot of money, and sometimes it's not you. If you enjoy this content, please subscribe and share with others to help the channel grow. Thanks for watching. I'm Topher, and this is Financial Fit.
I'm Pearl. I am 29. I live currently in Torrance, California. We'll be moving out of here by the end of this month to move back to family in Chinatown, Los Angeles. So there's that going on. Rough annual 105K.
All right, awesome. And you're moving in a year. Is it going to be into like a apartment or and with rent
With my
or?
family.
So I looked at all your documents. So it's like you have a checking account, a savings account, and then you have maybe a few credit cards. And it looks like your credit cards, you kind of use them based on maybe the cashback bonuses, or do you have like a system for your credit cards?
Yes, cashback bonus. And I recently opened a Chase account, probably no, I don't remember, but not too long ago. I'm gonna
Okay.
throw an estimated guess, November of last year. But for the Discover, I had it since 2015, 2017 timeframe. So that one is a long one for me. Right now, I am using it for cashback rewards for at least for Discover. So right now they have from I think March to June for like any 5% cashback on restaurants and Sam's Club. So that's what I've been using.
Okay. Yeah, it's good. Both your credit cards, it doesn't look like there's any annual fees, and then you're just kind of picking one or other based on the reward. So, okay, that sounds good. Yeah, I was kind of looking through it. I was like, oh, this one has all the food, and this one has other groceries and stuff like that on there. So, okay,
Yes.
that makes sense. And so, right now you live in Torrance, and you're moving to LA. I didn't see any withdrawals, or do you have rent right now? And
So right now, because it's my last month here, rent, it's been 1 year since I've lived here. So rent was 1,100 now, but now that's going to be cut down to 0 since I'll be moving back to my family.
Mhm.
And long story short, the main reason why I'm moving back is because first, I don't like renting anymore.
Okay.
Second one, I think, yeah, I was living here with my ex, but we don't live together anymore. So there's no point in me living here by myself, especially since we like split the rent portion. So overall, it would have been 2,200 for a 1 bed, 1.5 bath. But I'm like, no, that's too much for one person. So moving back to my family. And at the moment, the statements that you see is the most recent 3 statements that you asked for,
Uh-huh.
but a lot has changed for the month of May, and it doesn't reflect that.
Yeah, we can dive into that. Yeah,
Sure.
I wasn't too sure where the if you had rent or not. So it sounds like
Uh-huh.
you paid 1,100 for rent since your ex isn't live with you anymore. 2,200 is too much, which I agree with.
Yes.
And then you bring back home with your parents, and then it sounds like there won't be any rent, but maybe you might help them out. So I'll put that
Correct.
as 0. But do they expect you to help with anything like utilities or?
Probably, and I
Okay.
do plan to help out because it is a family household and an apartment. I'll just bring it up right now since I brought
Okay.
it up. But
Okay.
the savings amount will probably be depleted because I put a 20% down payment for a
Okay,
condo.
so you're gonna move with your family, and your rent
Uh-huh.
would be 0, but maybe you help with utilities. So let's put 500. Like, who
That's
knows?
fine.
Maybe you're
Yeah.
generous, maybe you're not, but you might. Okay, and then you're buying a condo. So do you have details on the condo? Like, is it to rent out to someone else or?
So my plan, if it works out, there is a contingency for because there is a tenant still staying there. So the contingency is for them to look for their replacement home within 60 days. So technically, my closing date is July 11th if everything works out.
Okay.
I think it first opened escrow like May 3rd or May 10th, super recent.
Mm-hmm.
And it's located in Harbor City. It's a 2-bed, 1 bath, for $443,000 home purchase price,
Okay.
and everything. There is a HOA fee, $300. I think it includes water and maintenance of the building, exterior
Mhm.
building, for everything else will be under me. Um, estimated mortgage monthly payment is about 3,200, give or take, but definitely below 3,500. So right now it's still like trying to figure out what the interest rates and the closing costs and all that.
No, I'm in real estate too, so
Oh,
everything
perfect.
like a high level. I kind of see where you're at. I mean, it sounds like there's HOA. You know that you're gonna have a mortgage. You gotta get insurance, and
Yes.
then there's gonna be property taxes,
Yes.
and the rate you're just kind of waiting on. But
Yes.
I think with your lender right now, I think it's around like 7% right now,
Something
unless you're
like
using a
that.
special program. So about 7%, right? Yeah, I think
Mm.
all in it'd be probably around almost 3,000 a month. Does that sound about right?
Yes, sounds about
Okay.
right.
Okay. And then how much do you plan to rent it out to a tenant, or
That is the plan.
okay, it's like a rental property. Okay. And how much you think you can rent it out for?
I think at most 1,500, at most, including utilities, which I think sounds reasonable around the area for an LA, with utilities included and an extra parking spot.
Okay, so it's 1,500, and then they'll pay for their own utilities and parking, you said, or it's included? Yeah,
HOA
okay.
includes the parking spot.
Gotcha.
Utilities, I think HOA only covers water, but everything else will be under me.
It looks like each month you'll be losing or bleeding maybe 1,500 or so. Does that sound right?
Correct. It's more like, because it's a 2-bed, 1 bath, it's more like me living there as well as a roommate.
Oh,
Just,
in the future.
yes, like once everything once everything works out. I'm just crossing my fingers on that.
Okay, gotcha, gotcha. Okay. When I guess what's your timeline on maybe moving in there and having a roommate?
So closing date is July 11th, and I'm giving myself a month or two just to settle down with the utilities and figure everything out. So possibly August, September, October timeframe.
Okay. So let's see the timeline. So if you close in July, the contingency is on the tenant moving out within 60 days. So they'll be out by July 11th, right?
Yes.
Okay. And then if you plan to move in there August or September, then it might be vacant for like a month or two, and then you move in.
Oh, I meant, sorry, I meant like once they go out, move right in. So around that July timeframe. And then thinking of getting that roommate in August,
Okay,
September,
gotcha.
and
So
October.
okay, basically you're gonna move home in like the next month or so for like
Yes.
a month, and then move into a condo.
Yes.
Okay. And do you have someone in mind for your roommate, and kind of have like maybe a handshake deal that 1,500 is okay with them, or
I actually do. I have a good number of friends in the South Bay area, and I'm also in this Facebook group for like roommates wanting sharing apartments, looking for roommates, and looking for housing and
gotcha.
apartments. So I am involved in that. Um, and I do see like a lot of people are looking more towards maybe not the city I'm at or looking into, Harbor City, but it is close enough to Torrance and Lomita that I
Mhm.
think might be able to grab someone. If
Okay,
not, there is a friend that said they might be interested. It's more like me trying to figure out when I move in and all that.
gotcha, gotcha. Okay, no, that sounds good. They actually have a few friends. I'm not sure exactly what city their condo is, but Harbor City sounds like it's south of Gardena and Torrance, right? So like
Yes, it
near
is.
Person. Okay. Yeah. So I have some friends actually bought a condo around there too. So all your numbers are pretty familiar to me. So
Oh, sweet.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
That's great.
yeah, okay. So your savings, like you said, you probably deplete it with a down payment and closing costs. So the down payment on 443,000 purchase price, it's gonna be like 80K or so, and then
Correct.
closing costs is usually around like 3 to 4% based on like on average. So it's about another 10 grand.
Yes.
Yeah. So pretty much that'd be like all your savings.
Yes.
Besides this, do you have other investments?
Yes, I did see your email on that, and I can quickly summarize. Um, investment wise, including 403B,
Yeah. Okay. So you
or
have
did
a
you want?
403B, so that's your employer investment account.
Yes, 53K.
Oh, sorry.
53,000.
Okay, 53K. Okay.
HSA, I didn't know if that was part of it, but I threw in 4,600.
Okay. It's about 5 grand.
Roth
Okay.
IRA 28,000.
Okay.
Investment 25,000.
This is a regular brokerage.
That's what I think so. It's SoFi banking market. So like
Okay.
the Apple and others ETFs.
Okay.
So
Gotcha.
in
Gotcha.
total, I have that as 110.
Okay. So let's see. So you have about a little over 50 grand in your uh, employer retirement account, about 5 grand in HSA, almost 30 grand in your Roth IRA, and then over 100 grand in your another brokerage account. Just like, SoFi's, okay,
So for SoFi investments, like the stock market, it's $25,000 I put in.
oh, 25,000. Okay.
So total for the entire investments, it should be 110.
Yeah. I mean, if for 29, that looks good. It looks like you've been doing your Roth at least past 4 or 5 years. So since you're like
Yes.
24, and then you've probably been putting like 8,000 each year into your employer retirement account. So yeah, you've been investing in the stock market at least the past 6 years. It sounds like, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, no, 2019, actually.
Oh,
I
okay.
may have lost some money,
Okay. Well, I mean,
but
at least you
yes,
start somewhere. I mean,
I
yeah,
did.
yeah. Okay. Well, at least you have money versus no one. Some people have no money saved up. So okay.
So
Um.
that is my current situation. I'd
Okay.
love to hear your recommendations,
Okay.
opinions.
Okay. So now that I see your whole situation, where your money's going, I guess real quick on the credit card spending. Yeah, overall, it doesn't seem like you're a huge spender. Like you have some groceries, you eat out a little bit. I don't see any crazy shopping sprees of like, I don't know, $200-300 going to like, I don't know, some boutique shop or going to Whole Foods. So I would say, I mean, does it sound like you're spending for groceries and food and this shopping's around maybe 500 a month and then a couple hundred for utilities and insurance? Does
Yes,
that sound right?
so it's gonna be very different for May, but it's already like a little over a grand. I think for one of them, yes, and then the other one's probably like 500. I think I did start going out more, but also a lot of it was their is it the home inspection fee? That was
Right.
kind of pricey, and then the car insurance was another one, another big another 300 in there. So
Yeah.
May will look drastically very different.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, it's different because you're buying a house, so you just
Correct.
have expenses
As
for
of
that.
this
Okay.
month, so that's why
Yeah.
I'm like, how do I do this? How do I tell
Okay.
him this?
Yeah. No, that makes sense. But for your car insurance, you didn't get like a new car. It's the same.
Same car, it
Okay.
is bought outright, so I do own it, not leased.
Okay. So it sounds like in a month or so you'll just have debt with a
The
mortgage, but
mortgage,
no
correct.
car loan, no credit card debt, no student loans.
No student loans,
Okay. No late fees.
no late
So
fees.
let's kind of jump more into outside of spreadsheets, more of like what's your goal? I mean, you make 6 figures, you're under 30. That's good for like anyone, especially in America. Like, what's your end goal? Like, you want to have this condo, and then you're trying to like do something with that, or you have like bigger goals and dreams.
It's so interesting when you ask that, because obviously my big goal would be to buy a house. But in this case, with the home housing market, I was like, let me just settle for a condo. And I guess the big next step is maybe to actually buy a house instead of a condo. But I think it'd be a good stepping stone because I think my realtor is a friend of mine, and he said like usually the first property of your home isn't perfect, but that's why people move around. And he did mention like you can use this as an opportunity to gain equity. And if you find another property, just sell it, use that for the next one, or just use it as a rental property. And I don't know if you get married in the future or if you found
Mhm.
someone, then stuff will happen. But he can't, the way that my friend explained it, I was like, okay, I guess I could look into this. One of my milestone is to possibly own a property within the 30s or so. But yeah, everything kind of changed when you have a relationship broken. But
Mhm.
I think this, it's kind of weird to say this, but I think this made me more ambitious to reach my goals in a way. So long story short, possibly a second home or a better home.
Mhm.
Um, Possibly traveling, I guess. And I don't know, having my own business or anything. I haven't decided yet, but I think the ultimate goal is to have some sort of passive income. I have no
Okay.
idea how, but I'm gonna try to figure it out.
Okay. So maybe in next, let's just kind of break it down. So maybe like in the next 10 years, your like life goal is, have a house, do a little bit of traveling. It sounds like not like a lot of traveling where you're gone for like 6 months, but maybe
No,
a couple of weeks here and there throughout the year.
that sounds about
And
right.
then to have some kind of business or passive income,
Correct.
but just not sure what you would want for that. Okay. These things are all, I would say, pretty normal. I think everyone kind of says the same thing.
Yeah,
I
it's
don't know you have like something that's out of bounds, out. It's just like very, very different. Like whether it's, some people they want to have like mansions and 3 5 million dollar properties. Some people they want to have a crazy big business, but it sounds like for you, if you had a business that or income that made maybe like 30 to 50K a year, then you would just live off of that and just travel and have a home, right?
yes.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So that's all pretty reasonable.
Yep.
Um.
And I guess I forgot to, it's not in the I just realized like I forgot to send you my other checking account that does show the rent being deducted. Like I
Okay.
just thought about this like just
Okay.
now, but
No worries.
I don't put in a lot of money in there, only like for rent. So technically there probably is like about 100 or 500. So very small amount. And I completely forgot about that because it was such a small amount.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. No worries. Yeah. I mean, I'm looking for the main ticket items that people overspend on. So that's usually
Okay.
rent, a car payment, groceries, shopping. So those are the main things I'm looking for. So if I don't see it, then I was ask, and then you know how much I rent in. So that's good. you know,
That's good.
you're
Yeah.
not surprised by that. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's break down your goals. So home ownership is big for you, traveling's
Yes.
big, and then having some kind of income. And it sounds like the income in business, you don't really care what it is as long as you have something. And then do you care to maybe retire early? Like instead of working until you're 65, you are open to maybe doing something so that maybe in 10 years you're kind of retired, maybe just do a little side business.
I haven't decided about that. I don't think it hurts to look into retiring early, like the fire movement you're talking about.
Right.
Um, I think a part of me feels like with the current economy and the whole inflation recession thing, I'm not sure if I can afford to do that anymore. That's why I kind of like put it at the back of my mind. And the whole economy and the whole thing kind of just scares me. It's like, okay, well now what?
Right, right. No, definitely. Yeah. And I'm taking some notes, and after the call, I'm gonna send you some homework and we'll recap on it. But one of the things I'm gonna send you is kind of breaking down like what's your true like dream life. And it's gonna be
Okay.
broken down. It's the curriculum's called the 15 levels to financial freedom. And basically the way I structure it is that as you work through the levels, it'll help me also know like where you're at in your progress. One of the first levels is it's called vivid vision, and it's basically writing out like what's Pearl's dream life. So if you're saying you want to have a house, you want to travel, maybe you have other things you want to do. If it's all like within reason, like it's not like you're trying to have mansions or like travel first class every single day, then
Hmm.
for most people, all you really need is 30 to 50 grand a year from investment income, and then you can do whatever you want. I think a lot of people they kind of wait till they're 65 to think about retirement, and by then you're a little bit older, you might have kids and other responsibilities, or
Yeah.
your body might not be as strong to like travel or take as much risk. So that's why I kind of try to figure out like just because you're young now, you can still plan ahead and make the decisions to get where you want to get to sooner than later. Yeah, so let's break down the house. That's the biggest thing that's going on right now.
Correct. And that's probably
And
like my ultimate, it's not my ultimate, but it's probably like one of my top short-term goals right now is to replenish my savings account.
yeah, I think even your friend said about purchasing. I mean, it makes sense. This is your first property, but besides your realtor, that's also your friend. Do you have
Mhm.
anyone else that you gave the deal to kind of check your numbers and check like if it made sense or not?
So I actually have two agents with me. One is a friend, and he introduced me to his friend, which so happens to be someone that I kind not know of, but also in the same hobby community.
But
And
no one that's, I guess, all realtors, even your lender,
oh
and then
yes,
who you use for your insurance, all of them, they make some kind of commission. How are you going to
correct.
phrase it? Commission, kickback, we're going to call it. So besides people in that circle, do you have anyone else that checked it? Like, I don't know if you have other friends or like maybe your family checked your numbers or like made sure this is what you want to do.
I did not.
Okay.
Actually, I only told this to my sisters. You probably like the other outsider that knows this now. My
Okay.
mom and dad doesn't know it either because I kind of wanted to keep it like a low-key surprise, but like I know they won't like it because it's a two-bed, one-bath condo, not a house. But I'm like, it's kind of expensive out here. But I haven't said anything to them yet. Um, and mortgage lender was a friend of a friend. My realtor friends, both of them did send me comps for the property, so it does meet within the price range.
Gotcha. Okay. And since this is you plan to make this your primary home, did they kind of give you other options besides the 20% down?
Um, I originally thought about 5, 10, 15, or 20% down, but I think it was more of my mortgage lender friend that said, hey, with this first time home buying process, like the interest rates is at the moment, the interest rate is not going to change for 5, 10, 15, 20. They're all the same. So you might as well do a 20 because it'll benefit you with a lower mortgage payment wise. And that was what he recommended. And I looked at the numbers he provided to me and decided, yeah, I guess so. I mean, I won't have much cash in hand, but it will save me a couple $100s from the PMI and the other mortgage insurance as well.
Yeah, I mean, all those make sense. I'm also in real estate,
Mhm.
and like you're like a first time buyer. I'm not gonna say like they're trying to prey on you, but also it's like you don't really have that much to bounce ideas off of.
Yes.
So it's I think what you're doing like it could still work in Harbor City if you got a house like a not a condo. There's some that are around like
6 or 7 or 8.
yeah 6 or 7, which
Hmm.
is maybe 150 grand more than yours right now. I don't know there too well. Like I don't know if you're getting a condo that's in a gated community that's safer. I don't know if you're these houses that are like in the 600s or on like the bad streets. Like I don't know all that.
Hmm.
But when you went around to kind of see if you wanted to buy this condo, did you kind of compare the houses to the condos as well?
At that time, I think I wasn't looking more into the houses because it was already out of my budget. I do hear what you're saying.
Okay.
I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
I th- yeah, I think it was probably the fun and games of the mortgage interest rates that also scared me. Probably the whole age creeping up also scared me.
Age? What do you
And
mean?
like almost close to 30s and all that.
Yeah, yeah. No, I get what you're saying. I think, I mean, there's a lot of people that don't own houses. They don't own a condo,
Yeah.
and as long as you're investing and it's a good investment, then for me, I think that's okay. Are you first generation American, or were your parents also born here, or?
First gen. So my mom from China, my dad from Taiwan.
Okay, good. Yeah, so I'm like third or fourth generation American Chinese. For a lot of my first gen friends, home ownership's like the American dream, and
Yes.
they really really value that. And I had some friends and family that they bought property, which I was like, it doesn't really make that much sense. Like, all you gotta do is say you're a homeowner, but I
Um,
don't think that was the smartest decision based on what you're trying to do, unless you're lying about what you're trying to do. So in this case, so you make, six figures, you have really good savings, you have, good investments with, the stock market. If you got something, let's just, and before we get into that, when you, for this condo, so the purchase price is 443. What
mhm.
was the asking price?
The listing price was 439.
You pay a little bit more.
I did
Okay.
because my realtor friend said they did get another offer at 442. And I was like, oh, I'll just throw an extra 1,000 in there.
When was the last time you've negotiated something? Like, I don't know, like when you bought your car, was it asking price and you just paid asking price, or?
I got my car from Facebook Marketplace
Mhm.
and I actually negotiated that slightly down. But in general, I'm not very good at negotiating, so I was hoping the realtors would take care of that for me, but I don't think they did.
Yeah, yeah. I'm not. I mean, I'm if the realtors see this, I'm not trying to shame realtors or any or your friends. I just feel like personally, any investment, it's like you kind of win in real estate when you buy it, right? So
Mhm.
like even you pay 443 and you get it, but in 5 years it only appreciates to like 500. Then yeah, appreciate it, but maybe you had some repairs you had to pay for, you had
Yeah,
to pay for all this insurance and taxes. Whereas if that money was on the stock market, I mean, in 5 years the stock market recovers, and then you would have made more money, right? So say it was listed at four, you said what's it 439?
yes.
Say you like lowballed and put in like I don't know 420 or 410, and
Mhm.
then you got it, then you might have saved and then got like 30 grand equity by just by buying it for cheaper, right?
I agree.
Yeah. Another thing is, how many offers did you put in for like different properties?
This one was my second one.
Okay. So the first one, it was like you put in a little bit under and then you lost, and this is the second one. And then you just, I don't know, you're trying to be a bit more aggressive to like, win it.
Kind of like that. The
Okay.
first one was also Harbor City, 2 bed, 1 bath. I think no, listing price was 440. I put 420, and then they counter offered saying we actually got comps from another realtor that we're going to up the price to 450. And I was like, wait, you can do that? So I left.
Okay.
That's exactly
Yeah.
what happened.
Yeah. One thing maybe you could do is maybe chuck in that property and see what happened. Because I mean, right now, real estate's a lot slower.
Mhm.
I know like for you're new to the space, but for example, 2020, 2021, like everything appreciated like crazy. Like
It
anyone
did.
who owned a property before 2020, they at least made 100 grand in equity. Everyone was buying property back then, and then now it's still, I mean, people are still buying property, but it's just a lot slower.
It's a lot slower because of the
Yeah.
interest.
Yeah. So, for me to hear like someone telling you, oh, like your first property ever, you right, like they're like, oh, we have comps, we don't increase the price. That's okay, you can increase the price, but no one's gonna buy it, then no one's gonna buy it, right?
I
But
think for me, it was probably like, uh, what can I afford as a single income person was probably my main point. Because obviously, as a single person, I can't, with my financial documentations. I can't really afford a 600, 700 house. So I think I told myself, and I read somewhere like buy the least amount of property or something like that, like not too over the top to the point where you become house poor. I might become house poor at this point,
Right.
but I think that mentality just stuck to my head. Like, okay, as a single income person, if I don't have a partner, I think it's kind of weird. It's kind of like a little toxic, petty move when you have a relationship like that.
Right.
And that's exactly what happened to me. And I think my realtor friends saw that and maybe just like, I don't know, kind of like what you said, maybe took advantage of that. But I do appreciate them, you know, with the knowledge and all this. So whatever I'm telling you, I definitely learned it from them, but maybe not a lot. So I was in the home buying process since February or March.
Hmm.
So it's been a while. And then I think I told myself, I'm not from the South Bay, I'm from Almonte. So I think living here for 1 year made me really grew to love South Bay. So I was like, okay, let me see something in the South Bay. It is expensive. Torrance is expensive. But if there's something out here that I can get, I think it'll be good for me and possibly for, I don't know, other renters or something like that.
Right. No, no, definitely. I mean, I think I have a lot of friends and family in the South Bay, so I definitely go there pretty often, and I know
Hmm.
it's expensive. I would say, I'm gonna send you some things to look at. Just kind of
Yes.
not this. I'm not trying to put doubt in your mind. Take emotion out of this. And
Yes.
the thing with home buying is there is a good amount of emotion in your decision. I feel like, there's
Yes.
trying to be a home buyer. Like, I have a lot of friends your age, and especially for the girls, I feel like between 28, 29, 30, and 31, they all have this like, oh, I'm almost 30. And I'm not saying this is exactly like you, but they
Sounds
broke up
like me,
with,
yes.
they broke up with their boyfriend because they're like, I don't see us going somewhere. I'm not sure that's your case. And they all felt like they had to like do something big because they're almost 30. And that's same for me when I was almost 30, I did the same thing. It's like kind of like that big milestone. So I feel like some emotion where you're trying to do something before you're 30. A lot of girls, especially, they're trying to get married before 30, so they do some drastic changes and try to get married before 30. So I'm not saying that's you, but just try to take the emotion out of it and look at what makes sense. I don't know if you have siblings or like your parents have money, but say you brought up with them, like someone you trust, and said like, hey, I want to do something, then maybe there's a conversation where they might have money saved up to buy a house with you or to co-sign to afford a bigger house. So for example, you said your parents live in LA and they rent an apartment.
They paid off the apartment.
Oh, they paid off. Okay. They might have money saved up. I don't know what they do, but they have money saved up or they're still working. And then do you have siblings or no?
I do have siblings, but my dad, kind of like what you said, my dad did talk to my siblings and I to see if we can put together something for a house. I have three sisters.
Okay.
The oldest one is married, and I'm the second one. The third one is a year younger than me, and the fourth one is uh her last. She will be getting her bachelor's in next year, so she's relatively young too. So technically, it's kind of three working adults and one pre-adult. Um,
Hmm.
the older one does not want to participate because there was a house in Almonte that my dad and that my family and I lived, but he has like 8 siblings, and his name is not on that list, but they were always constantly fighting over for that house. So I think that's what reflected to my older sister, like saying this because this is going to be a repeat, except it'll be with the sisters, and I do not want to take part of it. So there's
Gotcha.
that. The other younger siblings, at least the third one, she's still trying to figure out her career, but I think it's weird to say this, but out of the four, I make the most. So I can't really say like I know the older sister does not want to take part, and the two younger sisters, the youngest one is obviously in school, and the third one, she's making kind of like minimum wage, and I don't feel right asking
Right,
her.
right. Okay. Case with, your family and, find over the house, and that's very, very common.
Yes.
I think what people do wrong is they don't have it's all like
Enough.
it's all handshake deals until until it's too late, right? And then
Yeah.
everyone's upset. So that's very, very common.
Okay.
I don't know how close you are to your oldest sister,
Mhm.
but if it was something where you have a attorney involved and you write a very strong contract where it says like say for example, you want to buy a house for 700 grand
Mhm.
and you bring in 100 grand, maybe she brings in 50, maybe your dad or parents brings in, I don't know if you have all parents, they bring in maybe 100 grand. So now you have a quarter million. And you got a contract that says, okay, you put in 100 and so you get was it like 40% of the house like ownership,
Mhm.
and then your parents put in 100 grand so you get the other 40, and then your sister put only like 50 whatever, so she gets like 20% equity, right, in a ownership in the building. And so that's how you would split ownership, and then you have someone who manages it, and then you have to predetermine how the management would work. So say you're going to live there, so you'd be like almost like the property manager, and you need to have some kind of operating agreement where if something goes wrong, then you decide what's fixed on it. If you need to get tenants in place, then you can rent out to a certain amount. And as like it's almost like a board of directors where like your sister and your parents will kind of decide how much you should get paid for that, or if you get any discounts because you're doing that, or if let's say they want to raise their rent and want to live there for a little bit cheaper rent, then maybe you raise the rent on the roommates and then not for yourself. So there's a lot, I'm not saying a lot of stuff, but essentially writing out like how you're going to operate and how the money's split up ahead of time. That's kind of the way to prevent what happened to your family and what happened to a lot of family and friends. But it sounds like it might be an uphill battle, but
Yeah. It's
I
going
mean, you
to
can.
be.
It's something I would say at least look into it. I own properties with partners, and that's a big concern. It's like, oh, like who owns this, who owns that, and we have LLCs for all of them. We have
Mhm.
operating agreement of like what to do, who needs to do certain things, who's going to manage, who like if you want to sell it, how that process work, like all of that, right? Nothing's really verbal. It's all documented, and so far it's been good. But like who knows? Maybe one day they want to screw me over, and then you have documentation that says like here's how things work, right? So
Mhm.
that's just kind of how that would work. Yeah, I would just end with saying I think the condo, I would say it's more of a
Emotional purchase is
yeah
what my friend
yeah
quoted.
yeah I would yeah it's I think if you want to do it, I think it can still work out. Like it sounds like if you lost your job, you could probably get a job making at least close to six figures, and then you'd be able to afford mortgage. It sounds like it'll be easy to find a roommate. So out of your pocket is only 1,500, which technically it is more than your current rent if you split with someone. The appreciation for Harbor City, I mean, it'll still go up. It's not gonna go up like I have friends, they bought around there for like 200 grand, like 6 years ago, and
Mhm.
now it doubled, right? Now it's 400 grand. But you buying at 443, it's not going to go up to 600 or five, like, 200 grand more in a couple of years. It's probably going to be a lot slower. I also think that, you know, if you wanted to buy investment property, condo isn't the best just because one, you always have HOA.
Yeah.
Two, you don't like you kind of own the land, but you kind of don't. Like you can never build a house on top of it. It's just the room. And so when you sell it, it's not gonna appreciate as much of a house. Now it's still SoCal, so there's still gonna be some appreciation, but it's gonna be a little bit limited growth on that. I think the last way to think about this is say you did not buy the condo and you have 100 grand. I have a lot of friends that they bought businesses that produce a lot more income than you know this house for you actually won't create any income. You just break even, maybe lose a little bit because maybe there's like a repair you get to pay for, and maybe insurance a little bit higher than expected, like I don't know. But versus if you use that money in the business and made more money, and then live at your parents rent free, right? Is there a reason why you wouldn't want to live with your parents rent free?
There are, so it's in that China, so that Amonte one is kind of gone. I don't know what's happened to it, but it's
Okay.
my dad's side of the family's issues now. And then for the one in Chinatown, there are already 5 people living in it. That's kind of another reason why I'm like, let me look for another place because it's already crowded.
Okay, so it's 5 bed. It's a 5 people, but it's like a what, 2 bed, 1 bath?
It's a 3-bed, 2.5 bath. So it's my mom, my 2 siblings, yeah, the 2 younger siblings, and my mom's brother and my cousin, so his son, which they kind of came out of nowhere, but they are there.
Okay.
And I don't think they plan to leave. So it's a lot of family issues, as you can tell. But
Yeah, no, I can relate. I get, it's a, very traditional way to live where like the whole family lives in the same house and
yeah,
uncles, grandma, cousins all live together. So yeah,
it's
that
kind of
that all makes
crowded.
sense. I guess like for me, I mean, you have no debt. I think if you want to buy this or even rent, I think that's okay. I
Like
think
barely, right?
yeah, it's like when we do investment deals, whether it's real estate or business, we have like this home run like baseball analogy. So it's like if it's an okay deal, you get a base hit. So it's like baseball, you get first base, you get double, second base, triple, and then home run is you get a point right away, right? So like most of my friends and my investor friends, we only buy home run deals where it's like, wow, like lightning struck, like this is good, right?
Okay.
Because if the deal is not as good and it goes bad, then it's pretty bad. But if it's a home run and then some bad things happen, and it's like, okay, we thought it was a home run, but it's really just a double, so it's still good. But if you're hitting for a single and things go wrong still, then you're probably just get out, right? It's not going to be, there's no way to really get better on this. So with your condo, appreciation won't be the greatest, and then cash flow wise, you probably bleed a little bit. You make a couple hundred each month more, plus your rent portion. So out of your pocket, you probably it might be close to 2,000, like that high, just because insurance might go up or the rate might go up higher than you expected. This is one of those things where people call it like a scarcity mindset. There's only one left or one option, so I'm just going to take this one option,
It was
right?
kind of like that, yes.
Yeah. And I was in your same shoes when I bought my first property. It's like I feel bad asking a realtor to put in lowball offers. I feel like I'm wasting your time. And I feel like you feel the same way. But I want a good deal. So I told my agents or friends, like, hey, I'm gonna put this offer in that's it's always lower than asking. And if they don't if they don't budge, then I'll pass and I'll look for next property. If those things weren't a factor, then you might be like, oh, it's not the best deal. Like I'm like, you're gonna wait to find something where it's like 420 or 410 and get like a good deal and get like a triple or double. Whereas this to me, like I know that Torrance area, like I get it, it's nice, right? But this is gonna be this a single hit, not even a whole like a double, probably a single, because like I said, there's not much appreciation. You're gonna be paying more than 1,500 for your portion because there's gonna be things that come out of it as a homeowner that's gonna come up. And there's no guarantee that HOA is going to be just 300. It might go up too. So your portion might go up. I don't know how luxury it's set up, but I think 1,500, you probably still find someone for that. But I don't know if it's like on a higher end of like how nice of a condo it is or on lower end. So, I think for you, especially since it's your first time buying it and the only people that are telling you like, oh, it's a good idea, or also people that are going to make money off of it, to also consider you might be backing out. I see you back out. You lose your inspection money, which is was like $1,000, maybe a little bit less. You
450
might lose some like I don't know. You put down like earnest money.
AMD. I did.
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know the agreement on like if it's refundable or not. Like if it comes back to you or not. The tough thing is, I think most agents know how to get it back for you. I just say like, oh, like this issue came up. Like we want to back out of this, right? But I don't know, some agents would be like, maybe they haven't sold a house in like a month or two and they're like really big on like, let's let's say, oh, you back out, you lose your $5,000, right? So, like you might lose money, but you learn like, okay, this is what I want to do next time. Real estate wise, I would recommend to read at least one Bigger Pockets book. It's a real estate group, and because it sounds like for you, you kind of want this to maybe be an investment property. So it talks about like, you know, how to underwrite and how to make sure it's a good deal or not. The other thing is there's a lot of real estate meetups, and those people, if you don't talk to the agents, right, you talk to like other investors, you know, they give you, you know, unbiased answers because they don't want you to buy a bad deal. So, you know, I was under escrow for some properties. I, you know, had deals. I get a, you know, other investors and stuff like, what do you think about this? And I'll tell you, 99% of the time they're like, this is a bad deal. Even though it might cash flow, they're like, or appreciate, they're like, it's not a good deal. I don't do it. And then they just pass on it. Whereas it looks like for you, I'm not sure how many houses you underwrote. I'm guessing less than 10, right?
Oh yeah, probably less than 10 for sure.
Yeah. Some of us, they underwrite 10 a day. Some underwrite like 50 a day. And then, you know, like they're doing like 1,000 a week or, you know, a month. And then they're like, oh, this is the one good deal. And they put an offer in under asking, and then they still lose it. And they're like, okay, well, you know, I didn't get that, on to the next one. Right. So comparing that to you, I'm not, you know, trying to put you down. It's just, you only wrote less than 10. You didn't compare, you know, besides Torrance, like, or Harbor City, you didn't compare to other cities, or, and then this is only your second offer, you know, you put in over asking. So that's just kind of, from my perspective, you know, as a real estate investor myself, to me, not the best deal. Yeah, 'cause I don't want to be like hard and then you want to ignore me. I'm just like, here's all the options. We're like, you know, if you look at it and you're like, if your gut says it's not a good deal, then back out and try to figure out how much money you can recuperate. I don't think there's any problem if you lose $2,000, $5,000. I don't care. I don't want to say like losing, because you learn how real estate works. For me, I've lost 20, 50 grand on like business real estate deals because you back out. That's a risk of like investing. Same as like you put money in the stock market. It might go up, it might go down, but that's the risk you take. But you still learn from like your mistakes or the process of growing pains, right? Yeah, even though you've been looking the past 2-3 months, you know, in real estate, you're competing with people that have been looking at real estate for like decades or years and passing on these deals. Yeah, I'll also send you some links to other real estate groups that are in the area. Yeah, I go to some, so maybe you see me at some of them. But,
I'll be like, oh my gosh,
there's actually one today. I'm not going, but I think it's in Orange County. If they saw a deal, then they'd be like, I'm not sure. I think after like 8 months, I felt okay to buy, and even then, I put in some offers and some I got accepted. But once I visited them and the numbers again, I'm like, it's not good. I backed out. There was one deal that was really good. By the time I didn't understand how good it was, and it was a bit more expensive. So I'm like, I'm not sure the market might go up like or go down. Like I'm going to buy this. But if I did buy that property, I think I'd be netting, like after all expenses, mortgage, insurance, all expenses, I'll probably be netting like 3,000 a month if I bought that. But then at the time I didn't know, right? But see, to me, that's a home run deal. You know, and
like, damn it.
But at the time, if I knew what I was doing, I was like, man, 3,000 a month, that's a lot of money. And like in your case, for example, if you want to like travel, you know, maybe you want to retire early, and you have 30 grand off this, you know, one property, and you just got one more, and maybe that one wasn't as good, but you say you got 1,000 a month on that one, then you got 4,000 a month after all expenses, and now you're making like 50K a year passive. Whereas with your condo, you know, I think it's gonna be very tough to see it's gonna cash flow.
I have this dying question, but I'll make it as simple as I can because I talked to my older sister about it. She also bought her house, so that's probably another reason why she doesn't want to contribute. But regardless, I asked her like, what is considered a first-time home buying process if a family, in this case, this family lives in the condo and they're looking out in Hamet, which they can afford to buy a house. Do they still qualify on that first-time home buying process, even though they lived at that condo for a good amount of years? Like, does that restart?
Every lender is going to tell you something different because they all like have different knowledge of like what's out there. But essentially, this new homeowners program, I think the one you're referring to are the ones where maybe you can buy it with less down.
So
And
FHA? Oh, no FHA, just conventional.
yeah, I mean, everyone, there's so many loan products. the lender and whoever has the money, like the bank or whatever, they gotta make the money somehow. So if you put small down payment, you might have a lot of interest that you pay, right? So
Correct.
they just make money off of you from that. Or you put more down, maybe like you said, you put 20% down, you're not paying for property and mortgage insurance, but they got your money up front, right? So either way, that's how they make their money. So for this family, I don't know if they're already under contract for another house somewhere else, and I
Yeah.
don't know how much they're putting down, but there's programs where you can probably buy something for 10% down as a primary, and the rate's a little bit lower because you're lower risk because you plan to live there, and maybe that's what they're doing. There's some programs where you could put like 5% down, but you need to buy it in a certain area that's not the best area. There might be pockets where are a little bit better, but like I said, there's so many investors in California, and especially in Los Angeles, where they've been looking for like 5, 6 years, and if they pass on a deal, that means it's not good, and then they know way more than like both you and me know. So like they're buying all these good deals, and then unless you're doing research and like not like specializing, but putting more time and experience into it, then the deal you're getting is not the best deal. They might be doing 10% down and maybe have a interest rate maybe like in the 6%, but especially probably not in the 5%.
Yeah.
For you, you do have money if you wanted to buy something bigger. It's just you might not qualify for it because of your income.
I'm
And
playing it safe for sure.
you shouldn't buy unless you plan to live there for like 8 to 10 years. And for you, it sounds like you might do that, but also in 8 to 10 years, you might get married and then your husband would have income and then you can buy the house.
Mhm.
And from buying and selling this house, it's going to cost maybe 30 grand plus commission to the realtor when you sell it. So then you'd probably be paying like 50 grand to buy and sell it, and then to buy a bigger house with your future husband. It's 50 grand out the door, right? So even though you're
Yeah.
getting, even though you think you might get some appreciation or some cash flow, and they're like, oh, like you can sell this and buy a bigger house. When you sell it, the seller's paying the commission. So since you're the buyer, purchase price, you're just paying for that and then closing cost. But when you're the seller, you usually give your selling agent 3% and then the buyer's agent 3%, 15 grand each. So when you sell it, say you buy it for 443 and you sell it for 500, you're not getting 500 grand. You're getting that minus 6% minus other closing cost. When you buy in the new house, then you also got to pay like closing costs for that one too.
I'm glad you told me that because I had no idea about the seller side. I was so focused on the buyer side. I had no idea.
Yeah, and that's why, like, I mean, that's why for me, like, I could smell the realtor's BS, like, because I know all the tricks. I know like they're gonna say this, like, even for lenders, I know the tricks too. Like I said, either you put more money down and get the money up front, or you might pay points now and they have a lower interest rate, or they get your money later on because you're paying interest later on. And there's even more on top of that how they make money off of you. So there's all these ways to make you want to buy or sell. They make money off of you. It's always kind of tough. And all people who sell, whether it's houses, cars, people who sell like boats, anything like restaurant marketing, everything, all of them, they're extra friendly. So I'm not saying they're not your friend, but they make money off of you from doing this. So take that with a grain of salt. If they say like, okay, you can win off of this, like they don't get food on the table unless they sell a house or sell a car or sell something.
That's a lot.
Okay.
Appreciate it. No, really
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Yeah. So I'm really glad you came on. You're making a very big, very, very big life decision that closes in like a month and a half. So
Yeah, I mean,
like,
at this day, I don't even know if it's the right thing to do, but I'm already like
yeah.
so deep into it.
Yeah. So I'm gonna give you homework. It's gonna take some time to go through, but a house homework, it might take you like 10 hours.
That's
And
fine. I'm a very curious person.
I also think it's good if you went to a meetup and this told investors like, here's what I'm going to do, not just me saying like it could work, but it's just not the greatest deal. Well, yeah, thanks for coming, Pearl. Do you have any other last questions or?
No, you answered
Okay.
my biggest question. The seller perspective was awesome.
Pearl is doing very well. She lives within her means, doesn't go crazy on shopping, food, eating out, and excursions. Her net worth's about $200,000, half of that in cash and the other half in the stock market. Here's the homework for her. First is to review levels 1 through 8 and the 15 levels to financial freedom. She should update her budget to include a scenario if she bought this condo, because her fixed costs will go up. She'll have home insurance, taxes, and a mortgage. Also, there's still maintenance to cover even living in a condo. Next, she should spend some time and review level 1 vivid vision. Right now, it's not really clear what her life goal is. Is it just to buy a house, or is there more meaning behind that? And if she has any life passions to explore. I think there's a lot more to life than just paying off a mortgage and working 30 years. Regarding a condo, I'm all for home ownership if it makes sense for your situation. I want to review her underwriting and check any missed expenses. You can't expect to buy a home and have no unexpected expenses. Maybe your refrigerator breaks, there's a leak, there's some cracks you want to fix. Maybe you either repaint the whole house, or there's things that HOA does not cover. Even with 20% down, I find it very hard to break even, especially in Los Angeles. If her total expenses each month is $3,000, I expect a few $100 gap between the rent you can receive and the total expenses each month. If you're a first-time home buyer and you plan to live in a house for over 10 years, I think an okay deal is fine. But buying a home should not be emotional. If she's pressured to buy a home before 30, then she's probably rushing into a bad situation. Buying a home is one of the biggest expenses you'll ever spend in your life. You might spend months researching a car to buy. You might spend weeks thinking about what phone to buy. So trying to buy a home in 3 months without any prior knowledge is a bit rushed, especially if the people are telling you to buy it are your agents, lenders, or insurers. Now, I have good relationships with my lenders, insurers, and my agents. But for a new home buyer, you should be careful because all these people make money off of you when you buy a home. In this example, the buyer's agent would make about $13,000. The lender might make $5,000 to $10,000. The insurance agent would make about $2,000. So Pearl would be spending about $100,000 to purchase this house, get out a loan, be responsible for about $40,000 in costs each year, whereas these agents would make about $20,000 off of her. Again, I have nothing against real estate agents, lenders, or insurers, but if these are the only people telling Pearl to buy this home, then she should get other opinions. In this case, other homeowners, friends, families, or other investors that have no stake in this transaction. I sent Pearl some rough math if she bought this condo and sold it in 5 years, and roughly she might get about 5% annualized returns, whereas historically the stock market is about 7%, even though it's down right now. Ultimately, it's up to Pearl whether to buy this condo or back out. I just wanted to have more information and not buy this on emotions only. If you're like Pearl and trying to learn about real estate, I recommend buying one of the Bigger Pockets books that's about $10 on Amazon. This will help you learn some terminology. It's a bit heavy on an investment point of view, but it's useful to have a perspective because nobody wants to buy a bad deal. It's the same when you go shopping for food or groceries or go to happy hour. Everybody wants a good deal. So apply it to home buying too. If you're paying over asking price, not sure if it's a good deal or not, and don't know your numbers, it probably isn't a good deal. Especially if you've only been looking for houses for a couple of months, underwrote less than 10 homes, and offered over asking on a second home. Overall, Pearl is about level 8. She has to clean up some of her vision and her budget. She can easily become level 15 by the end of this year, but it may take her some time to determine her level 10 finance plan and level 14 advanced investing, where we specialize in an income stream. Thanks for watching. I'm Topher, and this is Financial Fit.